Welcome everybody to the audio visual coding that you're gonna get tonight. May the rhythm, may the flow give this experience something that is tight. As the coding goes with the loading, as the boats go with the floating. And if you want some words to be mentioned, just say it in the chat, and if you might, your wish may be granted. For this is a journey of wonder. And in my city right now it's raining, so surely there might be thunder. But it doesn't matter if there's a blunder, and it doesn't matter if the words are scattered. Enjoy this show, and may your mind enjoy the flow. As you see in the background, the shapes are just illuminating. And this is another journey, but you're stuck with us, so there's no point of escaping. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe this is just the ride of the show. As the thunder just roams, and the sky just tells the stories that it shows. This is one of those days that even if it's winter and it snows, and summer that it rain, and that spring that it floats, that everything shall come to pass, as today we let the code in these algorithms emote. For they too shall want to have the chance to speak. I just misspoke. But this is what we do when we try to bring the bright lights and the hope. And hopefully you enjoy this show. So please give random words, from adjectives to noun to even other languages verbs. And they shall be in the mix. They shall be in the flicks. And enjoy this journey in my version of the Twilight Zone. And hopefully it's better than Netflix. The mysterious flows are just something that makes all of us curious. What is the sound in the background? Why are all these images going round and round? You said it's already better than Netflix, but is it 'cause the patterns haven't even had the chance to slip, to flip, to flick? And if we had the wounds, would life wanted to give it a little lick? Because sometimes when we walk around, life gets a little tricky and wants us to slip, but the tricks are what we getting in. And they say tricks are for kids. That used to be the name of the show, but the marks leave the skids. The tension of the colors in the background make you wonder what's occurring. The blues and the orange show a various amount of range. Range, flash, flash, dash, dash, flash. Sometimes we gotta think, is this the real value of when we say what is cash? We don't even know. All we can do is hope. I already said that word, but it's a recurrent theme as you see the birds when they flap their wings. And sometimes we just gotta rejoice and sing. With all these shapes getting into their landscapes where they're trying to escape, but there is no shame because they really don't have no aim, and they're trying to rejuvenate. So they're trying to get that replenished energy, and they're trying to sip on them Gatorades. Enjoy this journey. Enjoy this time. Enjoy this ride. And there's no time to worry, because the conductor still has a long night ahead. And enjoy the rest of the flow. Enjoy the rest of the soul. Enjoy the rest of this. And may your silver turn into gold and your copper turn into silver. And even if you make a little shiver, don't worry, it doesn't have to be hidden. Because this is a new style, and don't worry, nothing like change will happen so suddenly. Or it might. Perhaps. Perhaps that's a fact that goes in the stacks. And maybe if I slip, I might slack. So let's see what happens when I get back to the coding. Back to the flowing. And Blackie Maury said he's sipping a Gatorade. You see, sometimes they might say this is a psychic, but nah, there's no such thing as psychic. Or maybe there is, and maybe this is just me trying to get into the mental penetrate. And trying to elate the E-fate. And add a new level of what we consider fate, what we consider destiny. A little curiosity mixed in between. Destiny Child, where's Beyonce when you need her and her beehives? That's just another line, another decline that's stuck in somewhere deep in my mind. Now let's get back to this journey, this experience. And let's see what happens when the code changes and it becomes something like this. memorizing as these lines they go in a format that sometimes they get tantalized and centralizing. This is when the intertwine between these lines of code adds to the memorize. When we go back in time, back in the time of the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, from the disco to the retro, like the times when you played your Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red, but nowadays they play Pokemon Go. The time, the colors meant much more. And the time of color symbolize what is deep in your core. These are just some of the things that nowadays they think is lore. They don't even understand. They understand the master plan that's so grand. But as you hear in the background, this is the band switching from Hydra to LiveCodeLab, trying to give a different decisive battle, as if I'm adding a dab of this, a pinch of that, like if this is a magical spell, and I'm just getting started. So I'm trying to get the code and the magic to a level to stack, as this ribbon just keeps flowing and twirling and whirling. This is another world, another journey, another twirl. They said Pirate of the Caribbeans. Nah, this is another journey, another galaxy. This is where we are all passengers of another sea, of what it's to flee, of what it is. When you see on your dog's fur, sometimes they call them fleas. But this is just another aspect to the fee, because they say life ain't free. But we're trying to add extra levels, trying to add extra decibels, trying to get louder and louder. That sometimes they will say, why are you adding extra decimals? Because we're trying to add a double, sometimes the triple. I'm just rambling, I'm just scrambling. I'm just getting words while we're trying to dabble. So now let's try to see what happens when the code acts to the time of Scrabble, to dabble. And maybe this is the time that we play around with some numbers to get everything. You know what they call that, a gamble. Now, just focus your eyes on the flight pattern. Just focus on how that aqua color beam is just spiraling. Spiraling like an orphan. Waving. Swimming the waves like a dolphin. Quasar, like the stars that are so far, but they illuminate our lifetime, illuminate our dreams, illuminate everything, like the river when it connects to what we call a stream. Illuminate as it tries to make life so clean, but even when it's messy, it's just a little gleam, a little lean, a little lean. Whew. It's like the stars just try to flee for their glee. But they don't even understand that there's just more than us. There's just more than me. There's more than you. There's more than a couple. This is what we mean when there's just people. Let's try to get a different flow going. And if you got more words, you can say it in the chat. Let's just keep this vibe going. This outer space journey. Where we don't even know what's happening with the shapes, what's happening with the flakes, what's happening like they're individual. Like we say there's always with the snowflakes. And that's that sweet aroma that's coming. You can say that with this code I am trying to bake. The insurrection with the resurrection. It's like the times I don't even listen to the instructions and I try to go in my native decisions. But in retrospect, the introspect, the inspect, the dissect, the dissection is what interconnects these lines. And in the end, even the mistakes that are made have all my respect, as that is what it means to introspect. And this is when the words get wild and my words just smile and I just go off the top with the freestyle. And then with this little I go bang, bang, bang. And I try to keep the flow going, try to keep everything like I never slow in. And these are just some of the things that are part of life spoken. Time to change the pace, try to change the space, cause in life, even the same place has its little differences, cause that's what we call the ace of spades. If this was poker, you can say I got a trick up my hand, a trick up the plan, a trick that maybe you might not understand. But this is as wondrous, as mysterious, as if you were ever to try to count the individual grains of sand on the beach. So let's just enjoy this. And if your favorite fruit is not peach, at least think of Peach in the Mario games. And let's now try to drive away to a new land, a new scape, a new time, a new cape. Let's see what we got it. And hopefully you enjoy this like a sweet tooth when it embraces the cake. This is what happens. This is what happens when time is just flowing and you're above the horizon and the colors are just slightly changing, slightly observing what is occurring, observing for what's next, observing what they consider success, observing what may creep up along their nests. Just observing is what they're doing. Just observing is what they're feeling. Just observing is what is happening. How do you feel today? How do you think you will feel tomorrow? How do you feel the next day? How do you feel with the fresh lullaby that's going inside, that's just making through your bloodstream and just making you incline while your heartbeat swipes and your heartbeat flights? This is the chillest set because the weather is chill. They say when you're in Canada, you know the code. And I guess since I was born in November with the Scorpio, it's just what happens to be so much in a bunch and a hunch. And maybe it's just time for lunch, but it's dinner. But you know what? Sometimes we could eat breakfast for that, so we call that brunch. Sweet vibes, sweet times. Even if the heat lies and the heat swines, it doesn't even matter because this is just the next sign. Now we just let a moment to chill. Now we just let a moment to build. Now we just let a moment so that all our pace and all our glides and all our movements and all our stress can jump over that hill, can jump over that mountain and just sit on the array and sit on the bright sunshine when it hits us with a raid, providing that vitamin D to make our day complete, to make our day beat. Heat. Again and again in plain sight. No height. Doesn't matter, cause this is what we happen when we got a wide stance. And sometimes we just gotta get the elegance going. And that means we just let it to go for a dance. And now, let's change things up for a bit. Let's spice it up. Add a little spit to the slit. Whoop!
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Listen, just take a moment and hear.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Listen, just take a moment and hear me out. Just this last time. I miss you, and it's weird to me that I miss you because I always.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options. Finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more
Take a
options.
moment and hear me out. Listen, just take a moment. I miss you. And it's weird to me that I miss you because I always thought I'd be the one. It's weird to such an exciting because I always thought that I'd be the one to leave such an exciting mark on you. I'm wrong. It's time to make you. I know that I shouldn't miss you. Well, I know that I should miss you. But it's just something that keeps knocking in the back of my brain, and it's telling me that you exist, and I know you exist, but it wants me to know that it knows that I don't even exist.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Listen, just take a moment and hear me out. Just this last time. I miss you. And it's weird to me that I miss you because I always thought that I'd be the one to leave such a residing mark on you and make you come back one day. But I'm wrong this time. I know that I shouldn't miss you. Well, I know I shouldn't be missing you. But it's just something that keeps knocking in the back of my brain, and it's telling me that you exist, and I know you exist, but it wants me to know that it knows that I know you exist, and yet, here I breathe. I love you. I know I never said it enough, or maybe I just didn't show it, but I do. And no matter how many times we fell apart, I'd always be okay with brushing off the dirt and getting right back on the bike. Or sorry for the wrongs I committed, and I'll plead guilty to every charge in the case of broken hearts in the first degree. I'd always be. If anything, I just wish you the best. It's not like you'll care to play this back. If you did, why would you care what I have to say? Because to you, I'm really just that one girl, not away. Except I'm not, because I'm right here, and I'll always be right here. Why would you care what I built a home in you? Remember? Maybe that's why I'm so distraught. I miss home. I miss you. It's been months since we last spoke. I can't help but wonder if my home was overthrown by the flames and you just got lost in the September. Because by now you'd be back, and we'd be okay. I keep every memory safe. I don't let anyone touch them. I can't promise that I won't keep torturing myself and go back to replay the most. I guess December, the time that I left, but it's gonna make sense. I hear the laughing in my mind, telling me to just leave it.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
When we first met,
Please record your
by
message.
now it's like we've already known each other for years. I can't. Maybe that's just me.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your
By now, I keep coming and going. I can't help but wonder. It seems now that I'm stuck where I
Your call
see
has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. At the tone, please record your message.
Would it be fair to say I never got your voicemail? Would it be rude to say that this is another journey that may have become a fail? Is it fair to say all of these things? Is it fair to say it as every time the phone rings? Is it fair? Is this part of life? Do I know where I am? Is it a feeling? Or is it something that I'm suppressing my emotions, that you call it a ceiling? Is this what they mean when they say life is a ceiling? And ceilings can keep us inside. Inside the structure that's beyond our heart. Maybe leave us inside as we're broken apart. Is that the feeling that I'm trying to get? Or is this what I had from the very start? The voicemails, they keep ringing and ringing, like if they're in an eternal loop. Like if all the words in life are manifesting itself and trying to be in a group. Why did it come to this? Why did it come to this? Do you know? Do I know? Do I know the feeling that's coming? With all these bleeps and these bells. What is it that life is trying to tell? Is it the reverb? Is the reverb trying to say that I'm the one that's absurd, that I'm the one that kicked this to the curb? Or is it the echo that finds its way to flow? Is it the echo that makes its way when life calls it cold? Is it the echo that does this does that? Is this the echo that is the cause? Do you know? Do I know? Whew. What is life? Is it when we try to hit these extra strides? Is it when we try to hit another smile? Or when we say that you don't gotta worry, you gotta wear your crown and not give that frown? Whew. What is life? What is life this time? Is it the hurt from what you see from the news? Is it what we see when we realize that we're not giving ourselves the cues to succeed, and then all we're trying to come up with excuse? Is it when the inside of your body is trying to infuse with the fuses that you can't contain, and then they tell you why you can't maintain, but you tell them that this is enough and that you can't sustain? I didn't even know it was going to go to this direction. Heck, I even forgot the code to that poem, so when I heard it, it was like all these feelings were a resurrection. The bells are ringing, that beep is constant, and all these words that are just mumbling and rambling and rumbling and mumbling and succumbing. It's like if I'm trying to summon. Now, with all those voicemails that were played, just take this time to listen in your heart and wonder what are some words that you always wanted to say. That if you can replay that voicemail, what would you want it to say? Isn't life just a live-coded performance? Maybe. Peut-être. Exactement. What is life? Life coding? Is that a reflection? Or is that just an art form that is imitating life? Or is it vice versa? Technology and humanity put into one sphere. I bet you 100 years ago they would say all of this new stuff is an absurdity. 24/7 news cycles on the social media. Life is an improv. Because it is really another version of prof. Let's change the flow a bit. That was very somber. And honestly, like, to be honest, that was actually an improvisation because I looked at like some previous codes and I actually forgot it was that poem. And that is an open source poem. If you guys want the link to that poem, it's right here by Sky Love, Creative Commons. And here, if you want more information, let me shout out this person for letting that reuse be allowed. Phone call sound effect. And I don't know if anyone's next. If people are next, then if not, maybe take another 5 minutes. I'm just joking. It was nice being with y'all. Hope you enjoyed this journey as we went from freestyling to somberness to a journey in space and back to Earth, back to a voicemail. Because we all know sometimes life can just be a little stale. Well, remember that your heart is yours, even if your life looks in comparison a bit pale. So what I'm going to end this off with, I'm going to replay this beat, and I just want to give something from my morning inspiration poems that I write daily, and just want to give you guys something to leave with. Before I sign off. And back to this visual, because let me take off the sound, because the sound is not needed. Just look at the verse, because just like that image, it goes in the horizon. Let me just look for this before I shut off. And so this was written on 25. Vividness, emergent through synthesis, submerging and cueing the stimulus, expressions bounded by none, limitless, succession sounded by one as the mind and body are attached by the bonding as they intertwine. You are one of the kind, no copy can be found, uniqueness in the valley of pleasures, mentally filled with treasures, sweetness from the completeness, as this is another day that internally you utter, I shall complete this, smooth as if applying cocoa butter, the aroma, the sensation have come to play. What role do you wish to have as the seconds of the day have finally entered this terrain that we call the game? For today, what fantasies have delighted your aim? What fantasies are you craving to live? What fantasies in your mind are you trying to give life on this very day or night? Thank you everybody for enjoying the show. You can follow me on Facebook, IllestPreacha, Twitter, IllestPreacha, IG, IllestPreacha, and YouTube, IllestPreacha. Shout out Algovoid, Nevoy. Shout out for everyone doing your thing. Live coding community, you're dope. Hope you enjoyed the show. IllestPreacha out.